you men who are here tonight, we're really pleased to have you, and all of you we're really pleased to have. Welcome to the Martin Perry House, home of the Powell-Liberty Historical Society. I'm Carol Wilhelm, and tonight, as members of the Historical Society and the Garden Club, can you hear me well enough? Okay, Linda Miller and I will be working on the program together. Marilyn Batten, Marge Bennett, and Sherry Carmichael will be doing tours of the house. And Alan Miller, who's back there recording this for our website, I guess. I thank him for helping to put this PowerPoint presentation together. We really had a good time and spent quite a lot of hours going through things and trying to make it perfect, but you know how perfection goes. So tonight we're going to describe how the house was saved from being demolished for the Bartholomew Run development and how the Powell-Liberty Historical Society began. We're going to recognize the efforts of the Powell Area Garden Club and the Farmers Insurance Friends and co-workers of Joe Cornish Gerwig, who died unexpectedly last year. To honor her, they have generously contributed plants and labor for the past 2 springs. And I would like all of the Garden Club people and the Friends of Joe from Farmers just to raise your hand, okay? So that's a lot of the people in this room, even some in the dining room. So welcome. I am going to sit down while we do the presentation. Do we need the lights out or just, Alan says no, okay. This is what the Martin Perry House looked like in 1986. Wow. I lived here in 1986 in the area. I didn't even know it existed. People today don't know it exists, okay? But this is what it looked like, and it was nearly 100 years old at that time because the house was built in 1889. It sat unoccupied for about 6 years, from 1979 to 1986. Only 2 families lived in the house, the Martins and the Perrys, therefore, you know the name. Not 1 person, but 2. The Martins are on the bottom portraits above the mantle, Mary and Albert Martin, who built the house in 1889, and Mary and Irwin Perry, who moved in 1928. And the top right photo over there, Alan tells me, is this window and where I'm sitting tonight, to give you a little bit of perspective. This is the wedding invitation for Albert and Mary. Louise Cornish, who we'll hear some more about, Joe's mother, and Janet's mother. Janet's here tonight. Louise's mother was invited to the Martin wedding. And that would have been like 130 years ago, if anybody's done the math, 1889 to 2019. So on the left are Mary Martin and her 3 daughters. Look how high the yard is compared to Powell Road today. That's kind of fun to see. And then on the right, we just chose 1 photo of some of the Perry children. There were 6 in that family. The next photo shows the 2 youngest children, and Jean and Norman were their names. We thought it was a cute photo, but I mainly chose it because you can see some of the outbuildings on the property. The only one that remains now is the outhouse, but you know, there was a barn and a coal shed, chicken coop. Anybody else?
That was called the Dodge Garage.
The Dodge Garage. Okay, Alan is not from this area, but he has grown to love one of the daughters of. He's just enamored with one of the Martin daughters. He doesn't love her. He's enamored with learning about her. But he has learned so much about the families and about the history. And when you look at our website, you can know that we can attribute that to what Alan has learned. So their property originally was 43 acres. This is Louise. She was someone who was keenly interested in history and genealogy, and she was a descendant of Timothy Andrews, who came here in 1840. This was a fun picture that we are using just to show the relationships that she had. Louise is there on the left as, you know, a young teen. Some of her family members, her sister in particular is in there. Janet, do you see her sister?
Yes.
Okay.
She's behind the young boy.
Okay, all right. And then some of the Perry children. So Louise really had a great interest in saving this house just because very little had been done to it in those 100 years, but because she played with some of the Perry children, and her mother was friends with some of the Martin family and children. So it was a good place for her to have memories. She attended a village council meeting in 1986 and learned that this house was to be torn down in just 2 weeks' time. And because the house was representative of a late 1800s farmhouse, and as I said, little remodeling or modernization had taken place, she wanted it saved. So she quickly gathered others, friends in the community, people like Marge Bennett, Janet Masteller, Eleanor Hawk, Donna Lawrence, and her daughters, Janet and Joe. So Marge and Janet are here out of that group tonight. These and others were contacted to organize a historical society. Oop, I'm pressing the wrong button. Sorry, people. This letter, I just love having seen this letter because you can see the date of 1986, Louise's handwriting, which is so recognizable, and as we volunteers look at things in our files, her handwriting just stands out. You always know, and you know that you're going to find something interesting that she has said to someone in her letters. So here you can see the things that have been underscored. And later on in the letter, she states that she wanted the house preserved as part of our cultural heritage. So this was a beginning, and then came petitions, letters of endorsement, bylaws, constitution, and election of officers. They wrote 100 letters even to people that no longer lived in Powell, trying to get support. There was a community meeting at the old Powell United Methodist Church that still stands here in Powell in early August, so just a month later they started to work. And the next day, Louise said they started knocking on doors to raise money. Every house in Powell, Bartholomew Run, and the Retreat, they approached, and that's all that was here in 1986. This article, as you might be able to see, is from October of '86, and you can just understand how quickly they did accomplish things. The society was incorporated in August of '86. Multicon Builders and the George W. Banning and Associates, who were the developers, said if the society raised $30,000, they could have the house and the land. So substantial amounts of money were raised in a very short period of time, about $45,000 in major gifts and also many in-kind donations. My fingers are wet. This is some of these titles are Alan's. Okay, he gets to make titles up, and I think this one's a good one. This was August the 14th, 1987. It was a very hot day. I understand it was 90 degrees. Family members and historical society members gathered out front. You see them on the top left. Maybe some people can identify the cars, I don't know. On the top right, they're gathered in I think the backyard, right? Backyard. And the bottom left shows the mayor, Frank DeMattis at the time, in the tan suit. He and Multicon officials were here for a short ceremony in the yard. Pictured on the right is Sherry Pinckney, the first president. She lives out of state, but she's to be commended for what she did at those early times. And on that date, in August of '87, just really a year later, the developers gave the society $15,000 to help with restoration. And so they had a ceremony at the courthouse, and they had this very important person in our community, Craig Askins, and his horse-drawn carriage, along with Eddie Tuller and members dressed, followed or rode. The top right, it's a little bit of a close-up better, I think. Very colorful. Sherry, you're in there, aren't you?
Yeah, I've got the umbrella.
Oh, okay. You're the smart one. And then somebody that saw, what's that?
Mother's in the
Mother? Where are you, Mother?
She's in the black and white.
Oh, yeah, the black and white. That's Marge, right? And then some of the Martin family descendants are in there too. Someone the other day that saw some of the pictures was trying to identify some of the shops there on Sandusky Street, but remember that was like, what, 32 years ago almost. So I like the picture in the bottom right where the people are standing outside of the courthouse. The next one's going to show
Which is currently being renovated.
oh, the courthouse is
There's
currently
nothing-
being
There's
renovated.
nothing in it right now.
Okay. So here they are getting the title, and next to Louise in the blue on the left above the lady at the desk is Janet Masteller, who couldn't be here tonight. She was very instrumental in the beginning. She was a business person and a neighbor of Louise's, and served as an early president of the organization. The other two ladies pictured next to Janet Masteller are descendants of the Martin family. Interestingly enough, Alan and Linda and I, when we were working on this, discovered that the deed transfer occurred exactly 1 year and 1 day after the incorporation of the society the year before. My fingers. So here's the restoration going on. You can see not much has been done to the house at this point. But the porch has some work being done. Marge, is that the chicken coop, the big building there on the top right with the outhouse?
It was a long one,
It was longer than that?
yeah.
Sherry, anybody? Janet, do you know?
I think it's the shed that's out here, isn't it? The outhouse had to be moved
Yeah.
to where it is today. I don't know,
Okay.
Maybe that's not.
That's not the
That's
coal
not,
shed.
that's
It's
not
not the
the coal
coal
shed. Because the coal shed is the one on the bottom right,
Right.
that's right up against the house practically.
Okay.
Which is
All right.
still standing.
Do you know, Janet? Well, anyhow, there were lots of outbuildings, right? The one photo at the bottom right shows the finished exterior of the house and the color, that we try to have it remain every time it's painted. The work that was included in the restoration was removal of asbestos siding and roof shingles. The floors were stripped and wallboards and ceilings replaced. And one of the things that I learned after I got involved is very little was done to really destroy the inside of the house when it sat vacant. A couple of the bullseyes, those architectural features there above the doors, and the mantle. Someone took the mantle. But our heroine, Louise, bought a new mantle for us. So not much was done to destroy it. There was a gas furnace and modern kitchen appliances added. The pantry that was in the dining room became the restroom, so now you know where the restroom is. And there was electricity and water that had been added in 1928 when the Perrys bought the house, but with the Depression, they could not have indoor plumbing. And evidently, Mary was happy even after her family left. I guess they lived without indoor plumbing. And even into the 1970s, when Mary was still here, she happily used the outhouse. So of course, when the house was restored, we got a bathroom. We all need that. Yeah, that's hard to believe. Okay, one of our earliest fundraisers was a cookbook. How many people in this room have one of the cookbooks? Yeah, I can't find any here at the house, so this is mine. recipes from Historical Society members. The Garden Club has a cookbook too.
One in the kitchen,
Is there? I looked for it on the shelf.
on display.
It's on display.
Well,
I missed it.
it's there.
I couldn't find it, Sherry. At any rate, that was a fundraiser. The most important fundraiser that we had was a yearly pancake day. We had it for many years. It was at Murphy's Party Barn. And there is Mrs. Murphy in some publication, which I just love this picture of her. Her husband and his father had opened the Powell Speedway. How many people in here that, you know, aren't regulars know that there was a speedway down where Murphy's Parkway is now? And pardon?
My father-in-law used to race there.
Is that right?
To Marge, I think about it.
Oh, good.
Here.
What did you say?
I've been to Murphy's Party Barn.
You okay? Oh, one of our volunteers, her daughter had her wedding reception there, and Marge had in the party barn when it was the Delaware County Fairgrounds. She had some artwork as a young child, right?
That-
So-
For that long with barn there with, for kids from the school,
The school that sat across the street. Yeah, so there's real history to that property. Anyhow, Mrs. Murphy came forward and let us use that property for Pancake Day for many years until Murphy's sold the land in 2000. I can't believe it was that long ago, but that's the story there. And I won't go through everyone. Some people will recognize some of us in our aprons. These are just a selection of some fun times. The top left picture was the first open house here in 1990, Christmas obviously. Picture on the right is a reenactment of the Martin wedding. And this is Sherry's daughter. There's Sherry behind her, and there's Louise behind Jim, right? So we are a very close group. In the bottom left is an example of one of our holiday teas. In the bottom right, every year for 10 years now, we've had students from Village Academy come for a tour. So this is a really recent picture. Now we're going to, whoops, wait a minute, I'm sorry. The next slide will be a transition to Garden Club. This is the last slide in this section about the Martin Perry House. So on the bottom left is the small parlor that's back there where Alan is videotaping things. And in there are some really wonderful pieces. So you have to go in there on the tour. I don't want to keep you here, you know, telling you what everything is. You got to go in there. And on the bottom right is the dining room, so you know where that is because that's where the restroom is. Top left is the Mulzer room. I think it's my favorite room in the house. Mr. Mulzer came from Germany. He had a saw and grist mill on the Olentangy River just below the Powell Road Bridge. And he hand carved the bed in there. There's some wonderful pieces in that room. And on the right are several of our volunteers who are here tonight working. We gather on Wednesdays and do whatever needs to be done. I did not mention that back when the house opened in 1990, after 3 years of volunteer and professional labor inside the house, local antique dealers loaned us furniture, and then some of them actually gave us some of the furniture. And the International Order of Odd Fellows also gave us some furniture. So over the years, we've accumulated a lot. Marge's husband gave us the church pew from the old Powell Methodist Church. So how many of us are sitting here tonight? 5? This is a well-used piece of furniture.
Carol, could I just mention?
Yes.
Because some may not get upstairs, the bookshelves that you see in the top right, we had to take down a maple tree that was in the driveway. And so those bookshelves are made with the wood from the tree. Oh, wow.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for that. Yeah, there's so much to say. The light hanging in the ceiling in that library is from the Hyatt School. We have a brick that was saved from the old Powell School. Were you the one that saved that brick, Sherry?
No, someone
Okay.
donated it.
They were really, really strict about letting people get anything from the Powell School, is my understanding. Yeah, not good. And thus, they don't have anything historical at the school, I don't think.
Where is the school?
The school used to be across the street on the hill. They called it the Monument on the Hill. And when you go upstairs in the library, you'll see lots of pictures. It was always the center because back in 1911, 13, when it opened, whatever, 13 was it? I mean, there were like 5 students in the class. Marge's mother was in the first graduating class, 4 or 5 students. So, and then years later, and not, you know, the population didn't increase that much, so there might be 6 or 7 students, and then the other people that are in those photographs circling the monument on the hill are the faculty. It's really, really, really interesting.
Yeah, the class of 42, I was looking at the picture just the other day, had 5 faculty members and administrators and 7 students.
That's one-on-one, isn't it?
That's as many as we have high school.
So you'll note now we're going to talk about our garden club tonight and so forth. We're really happy to have probably a dozen of us from our garden club. I think we have about 22 members now, is that right? So you can see that the first name for the garden club was the Powell Area Women's Garden Club. After a number of years, we removed the word women's. But that's what it was then. And look at the date, July the 8th, today. Can you believe that? There's so many coincidences. That was 91, and I think that was 28 years ago. So 28 years people have been working here. Some of us, none of us probably that long. Linda Lakemacher, you weren't working 28 years ago, were you? No. Okay. That's okay. There were lots of people before us. So we'll see some early. Oh, this is one of the earlier members, and she is holding a sign. And it obviously isn't that very first year because Denise is, you know, standing by a tree that has some growth to it. But a lot of the trees did have to be removed, and we had a fence at the back for a period of time. There is a plaque that's on the mantle that was given in 1992 from the Chamber of Commerce. It was a preservation award to the Garden Club. There are lots of plaques around here. These photos are not in any particular order, but you see that there was a lot of work to be done. The bottom right picture shows what we refer to as the kidney garden and its shape. That one was obviously not at the very beginning, but some of the other ones certainly were. Early club members donated specific species from their home gardens, and there was an article in Powell this week soon after the club organized in 1991, and it said that there were original plants, including purple tulips, that were discovered blooming here on the site, and they were uprooted and replanted according to, you know, the plans of the club members at that time. Now this is a photo that I don't think I knew about until working with Alan. He said, I have some photos. I told him about something that Marge Bennett, What?
You know about it now, didn't
Yeah, because you told me about it. You told me, I know, this is a surprise. So when I was asking Marge if she had given some flowers, she said that she would often give away narcissus, but she had these little yellow iris from the cabin. And and she still has them. And Alan said he had pictures of the cabin. And I said, well, I've never seen the cabin. Tell them where it is, Marge. Where it was. Where was the cabin?
Right at the intersection of Powell River, 750, whatever you want to call it, and Bennett Parkway.
And Bennett Parkway.
And it was some of my poor relatives who could not make it in Ohio and they moved to Missouri.
So they lived there. Uh-huh. When, do you remember when the house came, the cabin came down?
No, I don't. Willard and I had taken a couple things out of it
Uh-huh.
down to the museum for them to have.
Before we had a museum. Before we had a museum.
Oh,
Yeah,
much
yeah.
before.
Well, this was a gem, and this is another example of how much Alan knows of what we have around here. In 1992, the mayor at the time, Jane Van Fosten, proclaimed May as Pride in Powell Month. And I have a t-shirt from that I think I bought from Joe because I don't know that I was involved then. We had pink and blue. Anybody else have one of these? You do? Okay. So the t-shirt was for this Pride in Powell Month, and the Garden Club worked with the Delaware Joint Vocational School students who constructed 100 window boxes, and there was a fundraiser. The Garden Club repotted the plants that the students had nurtured during the winter and sold them, and the proceeds were given back to the community for future neighborhood improvements.
I think you jumped.
Did I jump? Did I jump? He said I missed something. I missed something. Sorry, it'll come in a second. This is pretty self-explanatory. These little brownies were here for a tour. It was the end of October. It was the founder, Juliet Gordon-Lowe, founder of the brownies, the Girl Scouts, and they planted some mums for us. So 92, yeah. Okay, here comes Julie and Joe and Laura, one of our presidents. And this is in the dining room, and usually at holiday time, the club would make holiday decorations for the house, sometimes for themselves, wreaths for the door, etc. So just wanted to have that as an example. In 2003, this photo is from the Ladies Club, which raised money for Delaware County charities. They asked us if we would prepare table centerpieces for them for their fashion show. So we did that for quite a number of years. And we usually did it inside here or at someone else's home or barn. But for some reason that night we were outside. Were you there, Linda?
Yes.
Yep. Is that? I don't think that's you, though. I can't identify anybody but Marge and
Eddie.
Joe and Eddie. Yeah, yeah. But that was fun. Right? Okay. This one's fun. Linda, will you claim that to be yourself? She looks like a scarecrow, doesn't she? So Alan has a question.
Yes, why are the pots upside down? What are they doing?
Marking the corners?
Well, the strings are marking, so what are the pots doing?
Probably a stake you didn't want to step on.
You know, we might have been staking out what we were doing. That's when we were laying the brick path there in the, what is now the herb garden.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just guessing we were using them as markers.
For the corners, so there are a few bricks that can be seen, can't they?
Right. I think that's what we were doing.
Uh-huh. Yep. Well, anyhow, the reason we were doing all that is the house had been damaged and neglected for a while. There was a problem with, a delay because of someone that was working on the house, and so there was a lot of exterior work that needed to be done, and so the gardens we just kind of let lay, but we weren't doing things. So we had a member of our club who encouraged us to apply for a National Garden Club grant, and we got $1,000. And from the principal financial group through the National Garden Clubs. In addition, the Garden Club itself and the Historical Society and one of our board members gave some additional money, and so we had an ongoing project for a couple of years. And we did receive several awards for what we were doing back then. On the left is Eddie Reed. I'm sorry she's not here with us tonight. she named the newsletter, which is called Muddy Boots. Alan thought that was the name of our club. So, and that's okay. On the right is Ingy May, and she designed the first newsletter, really official newsletter, and you can see there on the bottom right of the newsletter, I think she came up with that "got dirt," Karen. Do you ever use that?
Yeah,
Got dirt?
we
We could come up with that again. As you see, we did get an award for garden therapy, and that was for a project we undertook for a couple of years, starting in 2003 at the Ohio School for the Blind. We planted along pathways at the school. This was a summertime project. We didn't really interact with the students, but we planted along pathways, and we had 3 raised beds. We gave attention to the flowers that would have aromatic foliage, different sensations of touch, and swishing sounds in the breeze for the children. And
Bells, didn't you have no bells?
we did have bells, Noreen. You are right.
That's about when I came into the.
Is that right? Whoops, 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 whoops. Too fast. Bottom left shows Eddie's daughter Mandy, who was a teacher at that school. So it was their idea to have that project, and it was a good one. On the bottom right, I guess it was just planting flowers in the cemetery, Linda, right? Because those are all early garden club members.
Yes,
And
we planted, I think, peonies around those major
The-
columns
mhm,
at the entrance to the.
so yeah, that's an early picture because the woman on the left was the first president, I think, right? Jenny. And there's Julie again. She's so photogenic, top left. And her husband, Jeff, and Linda again. She's everywhere. It's because it's because she's such a key person to us. We tried to choose pictures that were just representative of things, so things that we all did together. And there was often a plant sale by the Garden Club at Pancake Day events. And this was a Pancake Day, top left, after we no longer could use the party barn at Murphy's, and we were at the city office building. The top,
I can interrupt, we had
Yes.
2 handfuls of women who always waited for that plant sale, and they were the first ones there. Because they knew we were gonna have all these wonderful
Plants
pass-along plants
from-
that you
yeah.
can't get at the nursery.
from our gardens, right.
Right.
And what happened to those women? I don't
I think we
know.
stopped having our plant sale.
Yeah.
They're still the same.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for that piece. The people on the right are with the Southern Delaware County Realtors Group. And in June, for quite some years, back around 2007, I think, they had a Realtor Care Day, and they would come and do big work with us, planting some things and the mulch, and we worked with them. And that was a good community effort that we had. Okay. The picture on the top left was one of our former members who taught us how to grow chandeliers from trees, as Alan said. It was a very extravagant little picnic that we had, and some people have personal memories of what happened before and after, but we had a really nice time. So today, 2 of the things that we all look forward to are picnics in the summer with each other at someone's home, and winter soup lunches. Karen and Phyllis and Irene Klein are seen here with one of our hypertufa making projects. I think we've done another one. This one's at Linda's house, and I think we did one at Babs's, didn't we? Yeah. So these are some of the things that we do. Get near the end, folks. Here we have farmers and the work days the past 2 springs. Linda Lakemacher helped to coordinate these, and Sharon Halden, a member of our group who's not here tonight, was a consultant because she is a landscape architect or landscape designer, thank you. The top two photos are last year. You can see the bright pink are some red buds that were blooming at the time, and those actually were donations from the Realtor Care Day one year. And probably you ladies in the front row recognize some of yourselves. And is that your husband, Lisa? Yeah. Digging?
Yeah.
Digging and planting, yes. And then on the bottom left, I'm just jokingly saying that two of our members, Linda and Karen. We have three Lindas in our organization, and do we just have two Karens or do we have three Karens now? We have three Karens. Excuse me, new Karen, not the newest Karen. Anyhow, I'm jokingly saying they're talking and discussing plans while the farmers, ladies, are on their knees digging and doing the labor. They're supervising. But they came, with the mulch and the bags, and as Phyllis, one of our co-presidents, said, that their energy level and bringing the equipment, the rototiller, the truck to carry away the yard waste for both years was just amazing. And we want everybody here to know what they did. Not all of us were at that work day, but some of us who were there are in the picture where Lisa, can we call Lisa the leader? Lisa, the farmer's leader, the organizer. Yeah, the organizer. She brought beverages for us to have a toast to Joe that day.
You didn't do that in 2018. I guess not.
So there are lots more pictures, but this is just a representation of those. This, Joe's sister Janet just brought tonight. She's giving it to the Historical Society. It's something that Joe made. Go ahead, you tell them. Speak loudly.
She was at Ohio State, and she was thinking about what she was going to be when she grew up. And, one of the things was a teacher, and they told her that at the time they needed industrial arts teachers, so she took a welding class. And she made this
Made the watering can. Is it? Yeah. It's very, very nice. So Janet thought it was really appropriate to bring tonight. Yeah, that is great. These are our most recent gardeners. On Saturday, 6 boys and 3 adults helped Linda Miller and me with about a dozen chores to have the gardens look a little bit better before you all came for the tour tonight. And we are ever so grateful to them, and they were just great. The woman on the right is the mom of the boy on the left. His name is Gavin, and he was the leader. And I had sent him this list of things the day before they came. So Linda Miller took one side of the house and I took the other side of the house so that we could, give some guidance to what needed to be done. And Gavin just pulled out his iPhone and he started reading all the things that needed to be done. He noticed that I had 2 number 11s. I added 1 or 2 other things. And I mean, he just, the boys just took assignments or said, I'll do this or I'll do that. And the parents, it was so great. It was just wonderful. So we're going to try and get some publicity for them and get some more help from them too.
Notice the muddy knees.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, this little boy. He was out here in the stone paving sidewalk as you lead around to the trellis, and he was really going at things. And so they were great. The little boy in the center, he was visiting. He was a cousin of someone, and he was adorable too. He was helping to wash the steps around the house. He came from Southern Ohio. So it was a great experience, hot as it was.
Oh, man.
Today, the Powell Area Garden Club members enjoy sharing plants and time with each other. In particular, small trips and crafts are some of the things that we like to do for our programming. We welcome new members, And I think there's somebody in the back row that might like to become a member, but I won't point her out. I heard that before. Speak to any of us tonight about that. This finger doesn't work. There we go. So some of you I know have seen this photo before. Jo's there in her home in Upper Arlington with the award that she got for having a certified butterfly garden and habitat. We have some handouts tonight of what's required to do that. If anybody wants to have one of those, please. I've got a pile of things on top of the piano that we want to hand out. So I think you've seen a lot of photos of Jo over the year, and I want to end with something that Linda Lakemacher wrote in a message to us back 5 years ago now. She introduced this member-to-member plant exchange by talking about something that she mentioned before, if you noticed it, pass-along plants. And in particular, she talked about plants that were very precious to her, and one was the globe thistle that on 3 occasions she had purchased and they never made it. And when she got one from Jo, Linda said it took.
That's right. I still have it.
Yep. So the Historical Society wants to give their sincere thanks to everybody here who's helped with the gardens. And we've got a carnation for all of you garden people. We have them in the kitchen so you don't have to carry them around. They're in one of those little plastic things that have water in them, so hopefully they'll make it home. Make sure you get one, the gardeners, okay? We also have some holiday ornaments, can't talk, as a gift. I'm just going to pass them around, and anybody that wants one can have one. So we'll pass them this way and that way. Okay, thanks. Just as a memory of the house that Jo and Janet and Louise helped to save, and those of us that are active now are trying to keep things going. We also have some butterfly host plant lists. So it's Ohio trees and shrubs and wildflowers and grasses. Let me know if you want one of those. And whoops, where's my Post-it? Oh. Excuse me, Sue.
Sorry.
Did I mention, I don't think I mentioned this, the butterfly garden requirements. Did I mention that, Linda?
The recipe.
And we've got recipes from Mary Perry's, for Mary Perry's apple pecan pie. So, lots of handouts. Tonight, I think, because we hope that people will want to see some of the house. A few of us will move the chairs. You could start out upstairs or in some of the other rooms. So Marge and Sherry are going to be in here. Marilyn's going to be upstairs. And Linda is going to be taking a tour of the garden. So we could kind of divide up so people can hear and see instead of 30 people all traveling together. So we hope you'll feel free to do what it is you want. We're not going to count off in numbers or anything absurd like that. Julie's going to take pictures for us. Did anybody have any questions? You know, there weren't any questions as we moved along. Yeah?
I do have a question.
Sue has a question. She's my friend.
The original demolition that was scheduled, they went to the trustees 2 weeks before it was supposed to happen?
They went to the town council and to the developers. But Louise, in her letter writing, she also wanted to get support from the township trustees.
Okay.
And if you saw in the letter, there was a relationship with the Jackson family. Roy Jackson was a trustee at that time, and I think her grandfather had a farm that was adjacent, so she was trying to identify herself.
So the town council put it on hold?
No, I don't think they did. I mean, I really think that, no, they got support from the town council, right?
It was the developers
Who?
Put it on hold.
Put it
Oh,
on
okay, okay, I
To
was
see
like,
if we could raise enough
Yeah.
money.
I've never seen government move that fast, that's why I was asking.
They-
And I worked in government, so I'm not talking out of school.
They wanted to make sure that if they
That-
gave this to us, that it didn't stay in front of their new Bartholomew Run development as an eyesore.
Gotcha.
So they needed some assurance. that this
Yeah.
was gonna be
Okay.
developed
Yeah.
in some
Okay.
region.
Yeah.
That was just really quick.
Yeah. Oh, and one other thing. One other thing.
That's your bell.
Who did that?
That wasn't me.
Who did that whistle? Oh, thank you, Stan. We have some awards for each of you ladies. It's just a piece of paper, but we have an award for you, and we have one for the Historical Society. And they're similar to the award that was given, 28 years ago to the Garden Club. So Linda has them to pass out. And we have, did I say peach ice cream? And there's a little bit of watermelon that I brought from home if somebody can't or doesn't want peach ice cream. And we have iced tea and water. And anybody have any questions? Yes, Pam. Just a sec.
Were there family weddings that took place here in the house? I mean, it looked
Well,
like
Joe
it was-
got married in the house.
Okay, but I mean, as far as
Other.
the original families?
The first family got married in the house,
Okay.
Mary and Albert.
Okay.
And story goes, they came down the steps.
When we did the reenactment, we had a written record of the wedding that was published in the paper at that time.
Okay.
And so when we did the reenactment, the fun of it was that every participant in the original wedding had a relative that actually was in the reenactment.
Oh my gosh.
The only one that wasn't was Albert, and my daughter was portrayed Mary. And this was just a friend, not even a
Okay.
boyfriend, but a good friend who stood in as her friend.
Because
Yeah.
I assumed that the reenactment, that was part of it. I just was wondering if there were any other family weddings or if that's the primary one that took place.
Just Joe's first.
Yeah.
And Joe's,
Yeah.
okay.
And these little wreaths in the window, I think Joe probably made.
Wow.
And I'm not sure what year they were married, but it was probably 25 years ago or so. I don't know. Yeah, Noreen?
When, I noticed that when this construction recently, when you were rehabbing, you would put on like 3 boards, and then time would go by, and then 3 boards, or 1 board, or whatever. And what was that all about?
Work.
It was my thought,
Alan can try to mention
An
it.
extra board, they gave it to you.
No, not quite.
Or they got paid by the board.
We do nothing in haste.
We'll be passing the hat soon.
No, actually, that was a really messy situation in the sense that the boards have to be custom milled.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
We had a local painting contractor who was willing to paint and give us a good deal on doing some of the repairs. Turns out it hasn't been such a good deal. But they were delayed a little bit because of the fact that the boards had to be milled, and so they didn't get them all. And then not enough had been ordered, and so
Okay.
a few more had to be ordered, and on and on and on and on.
We're all just volunteers, and it's hard to,
No, I just
Manage a
thought it was
house
often
and do
some
things
fell off
right.
of the truck.
yeah.
You know?
So, if you have any spare siding boards in your garage, we still have a couple of spots in the back.
Yeah.
I wish I did.
Yeah, Sherry?
I just wanted, at the end of your program, to let you know that next month's program is a walking tour of the Powell area. If anybody who lives in the area is interested in seeing the historic buildings, come at 7 o'clock on the dot, because we leave right at 7 from here to do a walking tour of the town. So, love to have all of you.
Anybody from the garden club, from the farmers, want to say anything? We're just so, I mean, what's that?
She said, stop looking at me. Well, thank you, Carol.
Well, you're very welcome. You're very welcome.